especially right now, there's a lot of lipstick on a lot of pigs.
There are.
Right?
There's a lot of lipstick on a lot of pigs. And, we have so many different segments of the market. We have REOs, we've got short sales, we've got traditional sales. We've got sellers who maybe haven't thought it was a great time to sell, and now it suddenly is.
Mm-hmm.
And they're thinking about getting their house on the market. And I use the phrase lipstick on a pig to talk about a couple of different scenarios, because there's nothing wrong with a seller looking at their house and saying, okay, we need to spruce up a few things. We need to replace the carpet or paint or do some things. And you can kind of consider that lipstick on a pig if it's an older home and it hasn't really been updated much. And that could make a really big difference to a buyer. So for that part of it, for the seller's portion, I would say
slap on that lipstick.
Put on some lipstick. Put on your best face and get the house sold. The other thing I wanted to talk about, and it's probably more important, is for buyers to be aware that there are a lot of people out there putting lipstick on a pig, making it look like it's a beauty queen. And just to look a little deeper,
sure,
to see what's going on.
Does it have a good personality? Ramona, so this kind of creates a little bit of a conundrum here. Mm-hmm. You have sellers who you're like, yeah, put as much lipstick on as you can. And you have buyers who you're saying, look out for the lipstick.
Right.
I mean, really, doesn't that mean that, you really have to be careful of who you're working with, because who understands?
You do. And I think for buyers, just know what you're dealing with. There's nothing wrong with buying an older home that needs some updating, that's been spruced up a little bit. But I tell people, for instance, in the case of a flip, and a flip is a property that an investor's bought, maybe an REO that's in bad condition, and they have renovated it, and I've seen really good flips, and I've seen really scary flips. The lipstick on a pig flips are the scary ones. So those are the ones, they've got stainless appliances and granite countertops. But then you look under the sink, and the plumbing is, old 50s plumbing. That hasn't been changed out. The furnace is 30 years old. The roof may look good at first glance, but the inspector will tell you, it needs to be replaced. It's been leaking. Anytime you've got fresh paint, you need to wonder, is it covering something up, or was it just to make the house look a little better? So it's just important to really be aware and to be careful. In our current climate, there are people making offers in a multiple offer situation and removing an inspection contingency just to get the house.
High risk.
Very high risk. So, I tell my buyers when we're looking at flips, really look closely, not just at, flooring and countertops and things you see, but look deeper.
So in some ways, everybody is going to be attracted to the hip stuff.
The shiny,
stainless steel,
yes.
right? The lipstick, right?
Yes.
The granite countertops, the nice floors.
Right.
Can that get... can that override? Can that be overbearing as to somebody's logistical side? Going, well, the house doesn't work very well, but man, it looks so good.
It can, just depending on someone's personality. Someone who's really emotional and visual can get caught up in that. Someone who's a little more practical and analytical.
Like, we'll handle the plumbing later.
And, sometimes that's okay.
Sure, if you can afford to handle the plumbing.
If you can afford to handle the plumbing. You also have to know if you put a new sink on top of bad plumbing and you have to replace the plumbing later, the sink's got to come back out anyway. And sometimes it's better off just buying the pig without lipstick if you have to fix everything down the road.
Right.
But for analytical buyers, they're probably going to be okay, because they are going to question. They're going to notice, like when you're walking across the floor and it's crooked and there's bubbles in the floor and, something doesn't quite make sense. They're going to notice that. But somebody who just loves the new pretty flooring may not pay attention to it.
Yeah. Do you think that, so how do you... Just don't pay attention to the buzzing that's coming through the walls of the electrical currents, right? I mean, that's what it comes down to, though. So what are you willing to pay attention to? What's going to be important to you?
Right.
How do you, I want to go back to the seller side. Because if you're a seller and you're trying to put a little lipstick on, maybe you need to put makeup on. It might be
full
eyeshadow.
face.
It could be like facelift, whatever.
Right.
Is there certain places that a seller can, I guess... I don't know if I'd want to call it more ethically, but is there a line that is drawn between full-on makeover that is just makeup and the ethics of maybe actually hiding things that maybe should have been fixed?
Well, ethically hiding anything is not okay.
That would make sense.
Yeah. I don't think there's a fine line. As long as you're honest and there's full disclosure, it's an old furnace. Don't make it. And you really can't try and make a furnace look new. But
Out there with the Brillo pads.
Right. But say there's been a roof leak and it hasn't been fixed and there's a stain on the ceiling. Painting over it without disclosing a roof leak is clearly unethical. Mm-hmm. And you don't go there.
And illegal.
And illegal. Yeah, in the state of Washington, we need to disclose everything. Even as agents, when we know something, we need to disclose that. So sprucing up a home, putting some lipstick on it, nothing wrong with that ethically, as long as you're still very upfront about any defects that you know about. And I walk through a house with buyer's eyes when I'm working with a seller, and I let them know anything you could do to make this house visually appealing and evoke an emotional reaction from a buyer is going to be a good thing. So go through, do the cosmetic things that make a big difference. Mm-hmm. And that's how it shows up online, too. And most people they buy you first online before they see you in person. So
sounds like a dating game.
There are a lot of similarities, let's put it that way.
Ramona, talk a little about, the things that are most important. I mean, curb appeal has to be one of those. Mm-hmm. That seems to be a place that would be a pretty safe place to invest in. In the Midland, again, we're going back to the lipstick, but mm-hmm. in the slight makeover of a front of a house,
right.
You tend to think that's a really big piece.
It's a huge investment because buyers will judge your house the minute they drive up to it. And if it doesn't look good, they may keep driving. So you want to get them in the door. So lawn's nice. Beauty bark is amazing in terms of adding freshness. Color is good. Some pots. Even this time of year, you could find color at Home Depot and, just bring in some things to make it look good. Make sure that the paint isn't peeling. Make sure that the windows are clean. As the realtor is opening the key box, buyers are standing there looking at how everything is kept. If there are, spider webs and dirt all over the place, they're going to wonder what else is going on inside the house, what else hasn't been cleaned or maintained. So that first impression is everything.
Now, I've heard to your point about getting into the house, and mm-hmm. this maybe has to do a little bit more with, grease than lipstick, mm-hmm. but just having the door lock function quickly, is that a true thing? I mean, when the door lock doesn't unlock, I mean, can that freak people out?
I don't know if that alone will freak somebody out, but it's...
Probably freaks the real estate agent out a little bit.
Yeah, we hate it when that happens. I tend to fumble with keys more than the average realtor. I don't know why. But it's just nice for the experience to go smoothly from the minute you walk in the door. And I tell sellers, when buyers walk in your door, when they walk onto your porch and through the door, it needs to be a wow immediately. That's your first impression. So that front room is everything.
And put the dogs away.
Put the dogs away, dog food away, dog smells shouldn't exist.
This is lipstick and pigs only, man.
Yeah, that's right.
There's no room for barking dogs or anything like that.